The name of the game is playing really, really good baseball in late May.
We have a motto here that, little things become big things. And if we can take care of those little things, I think we're gonna be all right.
We got to bring your expectations are high, and this is kind of what we're used to. This is how I was introduced to Middle Township basketball.
I miss being on the sidelines. I miss everything what high school football is all about. I think it's the greatest sport.
It's not a walk in the park going through our league.
And the message is simple. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Cal One-on-One right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and with me tonight is new Absegami football head coach Warren Smith. Warren, good to catch up with you, my man. It's been a while, but you're coming down to our neck of the woods now. Recently named the new head coach over at Absegami, taking over. First head coaching job, too, at the high school level. I got to imagine it's been a whirlwind over the past couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, no, it's been super exciting. I'm excited to get started. Absegami has welcomed me with open arms. I met the kids last week. They're great. They're very receptive of everything. And we just got our morning workout started this past week. And we're looking to build a foundation and, start to develop a consistent culture up down at Absegami.
Well, you've been around Jersey football for a long time, obviously as a player, as a coach, and of course, went on to have your own career at the Division I and of course the professional level as a quarterback. But before we get into all of that, I wanted your initial thoughts on why this job and what really attracted you to Absegami. You're a Lacy alum, you're coaching at Lacy as well for a long time. What attracted you to this job and basically had you seek out this opening right here once it was made available?
Yeah, I think, Nick, the stars kind of aligned. I met Mark Prince, the athletic director, 2 years ago down at Buena. I was interviewing around and developed a great relationship with him, and we stayed in touch. And over the past year or so, I was really eager to become a head football coach. And he reached out to me during the football season, saying there could be a potential job opening down the road, and he wanted me to be his guy. So that all happened, and it worked out. We had a good interview with the principal down there and himself, and it was just again, my dream was to be a head football coach. I felt like the time was now, and I'm ready to go to call a program my own. And Mark took me in with open arms, and Absegami. You know the area. They got a lot of talent down there, a lot of potential down there. It's a great football area. The West Jersey Football League, I think, in my opinion, is the strongest football league in New Jersey right now. And they were looking for a head football coach, and it was a perfect time for me. And I'm more than excited to get started. I've already met the kids. We got the ball rolling the past 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to see what this football team can do.
When you first met your players, of course, you go back to last season. Absegami did make the playoffs, 5-5 last year. Got to the Group 3 first round. South Jersey Group 3 first round loss to eventual sectional champion Somerville. But when you look at what this program has had in the past, based on what you've whether you've researched or what already coming in, this team did graduate a lot from what I can tell, or from just based on a quick glance again at what they were in terms of their production last year. Did you have to sell a vision to these kids? Was it kind of just like, hey, I want to get to know you guys. Let's start building, maybe not slowly, but take it one step at a time. What was that initial first meeting like with the new players going into next school year, next football season?
Yeah, well, I think my approach would stay the same regardless, whether they were returning a bunch or they were graduating a bunch. And, they had some great players last year that can run around, make some plays. But I took a good look at the team coming back, and there's a great core there. And these kids really want to do well. And, again, there's a lot of athletes down there. And I think the biggest thing is getting those athletes to come out and play football. And I think recruiting the hallways are huge. I've developed I developed relationships with some of the coaches in the building. So they've been kind of giving me good insight on what Absegami athletes have to offer. But again, just from off the meeting in the first couple of workouts, more and more kids seem to be attracted to the program. I think it's a great start. I think the kids are bought in. They want to learn. They want to play football at a high level. The team last year did a great job. They made it to the playoffs, and we're looking to build off that. And, with the schedule we have, it's going to be challenging, but, we got to start now. We're in February. develop that foundation of strength right now and build that camaraderie and culture. And I think things will take care of itself. And again, it starts with the kids. I gave them a standard of what I expect, and if they follow that with with help from my assistant coaches and the leadership of the seniors, anything's possible in high school football. And you got to get these kids to believe in you and trust in you. And I think right now that's been the biggest lack with with Absegami football program, just because there's been so much turnover, and these kids need to lean on a leader, a consistent leader. And so this to me is going to be my forever job. I want to be here forever. I want to change this culture around. I want people to want to go to Absegami football and take it from there. Again, like you said, one day at a time for me. I'm getting down there and getting to know these kids, getting to know their names, and just trying to maximize their ability. And then so hopefully in 10 years from now, they come back and say, hey, high school football was the best experience of my life.
I love hearing that. You're no stranger to Group 3 and obviously Group 4 football as well. Lacey's been in both over the last couple of years. Gammy's still in Group 3, and, as far as we know, going into next year. So when you look at the transition, because Absegami's always been traditionally one of the bigger schools here in South Jersey, a little bit further down in Atlantic and Cape May County. So when you look at, I like how you said recruiting the hallways. And I feel like a lot of big schools like to do that. It's like, hey, you're 6'2", 220, and all of a sudden you're like, why aren't you playing football? Or, for example, like, why aren't you wrestling, or a tall kid? Why aren't you trying for basketball? What's that process like for you, going through the hallways, or leaning on your assistant coaches or some other players to quote unquote recruit the hallways? What's that like for you?
Well, I mean, I've been doing it for 12 years now. And, there's a lot of kids that are shy to the game. They don't want to just jump into it. So as long as you reach out to them, communicate, say, listen, give it a shot, and promise them and try to put them in the best possible situation to succeed. At high school, it's, you got to teach them the game, and they're learning from ground zero. So, you got to build that trust with them, and make them understand that I have the best interest for them. And again, football is one of the greatest sports in the world. And, you get a kid that doesn't know what he's really doing yet and teach him in one off season, they can be a varsity impact player right away. And that's my goal. And again, like you said, Absegami being one of the bigger schools with a lot of kids in it and a lot of athletes walking around, you just be personal, be yourself, and recruit these guys to come out and give camp a shot, give a workout a shot, come together. Like, everyone wants to be a part of something. Football is hard. And, people think that we just show up in August and just roll the ball out there and we go play. No, you develop the culture in the off season. And once the kids start building those relationships in the off season in the weight room, it becomes like a family oriented thing, and the kids want to play for each other. And that's the biggest thing. You get these kids to play for one another, believe in the coach. I'm going to start believing in these kids as I get to know them. And it's like a domino effect. And, I've seen great coaches come to programs and turn them around quickly. And that's my goal. I'm excited, and the kids seem excited. So we're off to a good start. But, there's a lot of work to do, no doubt. And, there's a lot of good athletes that are graduating that we got to replace. But looking at these kids, they're hungry, they're excited. And that's really, as the head coach, that's all you can ask for. And then now it's our job as coaches to put these kids in the best possible situation to succeed and make them enjoy their high school football experience.
Do you have a unique approach when it comes to these off-season developmental programs, the weightlifting, or I don't know how much install you're going to do with players, in February compared to, let's just say, May or June, obviously. Do you take a lot of what you did at Lacy and maybe other places that you have coached or how you've learned as a quarterback when you were a player? Do you kind of combine all that together? Are you going with a new approach this offseason? How are you approaching these developmental periods in terms of the offseason, where we're not even in the spring yet? So it's good that you're hitting the ground early, but how do you implement that, especially with kids that are maybe a little bit greener to the game?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, like, being a player for my whole life and, learning under Coach Versillo, you learn multiple ways to do it. But my belief is everything that happens in the offseason. I call it the 4-quarter plan. You have your winter, you have your spring, you have your summer, and you have your camp. It's 4 quarters. You got to treat that like a season. And I've always treated it, build the foundation of strength in the winter, build the agilities and the strength and the explosive workouts in the spring, start installing what you want to do. And then in the summer, it's almost every day. And then in the camp, that's where you form your identity. And, Coach Versillo has taught me a lot at Lacy on how to do it. I've done it myself at multiple levels. But I think right now it's just getting these kids together to believe in one another, develop the foundation of strength. And once the spring sports season start, we start getting into our explosive movements, our agilities, our install for 7-on-7, which we will be competing in multiple tournaments this upcoming late spring, early summer. And then once the summer hits, the gloves are off. You can just start doing whatever you want. And we're going to try to go 4 or 5 days a week in the summer. And once camp starts August 4th, August 11th, technically, but we're going to be playing week 0, so we might get a head start. And we hit the ground running at August 4th. And we're not doing. The kids are going to know the schemes. The kids are going to know what our goal is, what our vision is. And then you got 3 or 4 weeks to form an identity, and then you get your scrimmages, then you get into your games, and then that's the product you put out there. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, you don't just come out September 4th and just think you're going to win football games. It's got to be built in a 4-quarter plan in the offseason. And again, I've learned that, at Lacy the past 12 years, and playing at University of Maine, playing at Lacy, playing in multiple leagues outside of college. So, that's the plan right now. And we're taking it one day at a time. And again, my biggest thing right now is getting to know these kids, getting these kids to trust me, and again, putting these kids in the best possible situation to succeed.
When you talk about building that trust, of course, it happens more than just on the field, whether it's practice or games, and of course in the weight room. I'm unsure of how much or what you did in terms of the Lacy community. Having been a Lacy alum and having played there and coached there for so long, so it's like you're Lacy through and through. What do you plan on doing to transition to the Galloway community and the surrounding area, the greater Egg Harbor area, which includes Cedar Creek and Oakcrest, of course, in relation to Gammy? How do you plan on implementing the off the field stuff in terms of the community, community outreach, whether it's you, your assistants, or kind of combining it all with your team? What do you foresee in the coming months?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's important to get into the community, whether it's fundraising, just meeting the team, bringing the team out for team dinners, team pasta nights. But I think it's really important to get into the youth football or youth sports in general. Like, get the basketball games, get the wrestling matches at the youth level, get to the youth football programs, meet those coaches. Get on the same page. Get on the same page with those coaches down there. I think that's important, so they understand your vision. I want to support those guys down at the youth level because I want them to trust me. I want the kids to understand that once they get to Absegami, we're going to be doing a lot of the same stuff that they're trying to do at the youth level. And I think just getting on the same page with the youth coaches in the community is huge for your success. And I the best high school teams in the state, when you look at their youth programs and they're involved, the coaches from the varsity level are involved down to the youth, down to the Pop Warner, and you get involved in the community. You have the kids do some volunteer work throughout the Galloway community. I think is huge. I'm pretty familiar with it. I go down there often in the summertime to play some golf, but I think the community wants Absegami to do well in football. So I think just getting there, showing face, and being the best person you could possibly be in front of these people, and getting the kids involved. I think these are all huge things that need to happen. And just to keep going, what I was saying on is just get into the youth sports, show them that you want them to succeed and you want them to come to Absegami because we're going to put them in the best possible situation. And that's the goal. And we're going to run youth camps in the summertime. I've already been to a couple youth basketball games down there. I'm getting down to a wrestling match next week. And I think when the kids see the varsity football coach there, I think there's an incentive. I want to go play for that guy. And that's what the experience I had in high school here. I think all the coaches were involved in all of our youth stuff. Coach V was down there, and I think that's huge. And the parents, and ultimately the parents see it. The parents see that you care. And once you get the trust of the parents and the trust of the kids, then you got something.
I love hearing that. You mentioned team pasta dinners, these team gatherings, going out to these community events. I know you play a lot of golf and you coach golf at Lacy as well. Any of these players, you're going to teach them the ropes, or you're going to try to school them on the golf course? What's going on with the summer with that?
Golf's a life sport. If these guys want to learn how to play some golf, I'd be happy to do it. The Lacy boys right now, they've been doing a great job this offseason golfing. We're gearing up for our season in about a month or so. But it's a lifelong sport. I think everyone should get into it. It definitely challenges you physically and mentally more than anything. But yeah, of course, if these guys want to play some golf, you let me know. I'll take them out there.
I love it. I'm probably still a couple years away from breaking 100, so maybe we'll get there eventually. I wanted to circle back to a little bit of your time at Lacy. You mentioned it even as a coach, just being there for 12 years, offensive coordinator for a lot of it as well. Running that offense, learning a lot at your alma mater. When you look back at your time at Lacy, in terms of the football, when you were a player, when you were a coach, what do you take from that high school to Absegami now? And, how much of that has influenced your decision-making, your coaching style, your playing style, even how you're going to do it to the kids, especially as a quarterback, what you'll do for your future quarterbacks and your offense. Ultimately, what does Lacy mean to you now taking this next step in your career?
Yeah, no, I mean, when you look at Lacey Township, it's known as a great football town. It's had great tradition since the school opened up in '81, and like the youth programs have been great. And I think growing up playing youth football in Lacy, going through the middle school, going through the high school, like I think that's what it's supposed to look like. And if we can replicate that down there in Galloway through the youth with the Galloway Renegades all the way down to the youth the youth football leagues, I think that is what the foundation of what you're going to have at Absegami. But then once we get into for the actual team itself, I've learned a lot just calling an offense, calling good games, calling bad games. I know that we live in the tri-state. You're going to be dealing with weather. You got to be able to play in weather. You got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to, develop your quarterbacks to do the bare minimum throwing the ball. And then if you have a guy that can do it, then you can start expanding. But as high school football games are, they're 12-minute quarters. They go fast, and you got to play great football in all three phases, whether it's offense, defense, and special teams. So we're going to harp on that. We're going to say, listen, every play counts, like defensively, offensively, special teams. You're going to own those special team positions. I don't want people to think that special teams is just one of those like, oh, let's not worry about that. Like that's huge. And if you can control the clock, play good defense, take your shots when the time is right, and take care of the football. You're going to be in a good spot in high school, at least. So I think we got the guys to do it. Now it's all about them buying into what I envision, and if they can do that, we're going to be just fine.
I'm curious about your thought process when it comes to playing quarterback, coaching up quarterbacks, and coaching up an offense. And even on the flip side, seeing how the defense operates, because for those who don't know, you did play arena football for a long time as a professional quarterback, including right here in our own backyard with Atlantic City back in 2019. You've had a lot of success in the indoor game, but it's vastly different from the outdoor game. Have you taken stuff from arena football and indoor football and taken it to the outdoor game, even in high school? Because, again, it's a lot more fast-paced. Pretty much all passing. Have you taken certain concepts? You don't have to give too much away, but have you taken certain concepts or certain, I guess, intangibles from the indoor game, from what you observed as a player, and then taking it to the high school game?
Yeah, well, I think as a quarterback in the indoor game, you can't really hold on to the football when you're passing, and I think it's key to protect the football. So just getting better with the three-step pass game and limiting the turnovers. I think that's what I'm going to install into these quarterbacks. Just take care of the football and get the ball out. Get the ball to your playmakers. Obviously you got to protect. You got to have a guy that can do it. You got to have kids that can run around and catch the ball. And that's all the stuff that we're going to evaluate over the next 3 or 4 months. But I just think what I take from arena football is just the timing of it. It's much faster. So and it's more of a three-step game. So these kids are going to learn how to play football with a three-step drop, whether it's a shotgun or in a gun. But I think, just from the arena game, getting the ball out quickly, putting the kids in like the best possible situations to succeed, passing wise, catching the ball wise, even run game. I think it's important to be efficient and limit turnovers. And if you can do that, whether it's indoor, outdoor, you're going to put your team in a better position if you weren't doing so. So, I learned a lot in arena, but I mean, there's only so much you can take considering it's only 8-on-8. But I think the biggest thing is, from taking from the arena to the outdoor is just getting the ball out quick, high percentage stuff, and getting the ball to your playmakers in space.
I'm glad you mentioned before that about pounding the rock and running the football a lot. Still, a lot of high school football is still dictated by the run game, and of course, in our own backyard, within the old school Cape Atlantic teams, we've seen Mainland over the last 2 years, make their runs at a state championship, back-to-back years, winning one and just coming up short this past year, but still running the wing T. I don't know if you guys are going to run any type of wing T concepts, but I can only imagine, depending upon the quarterback or how you want to operate the offense, running the football is still, the bread and butter of maybe this Absegami offense going into 2025 too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the tri-state area, you have to establish a run game, whether it's a wing T, whether it's a man scheme, gap scheme. The best teams in high school football right now run the football, and you got to be able to run it because you're going to deal with weather. But then the special teams are able to play action off it, and play the game horizontally as well, and make it just as high percentage as your run game. But listen, in college, I was a spread, no huddle guy, threw the ball a lot, ran the ball a lot as a quarterback. In Reno League, I threw the ball almost every snap. But in high school, you're dealing with young teenagers that you got to play the percentage game. And if you can run the football, control the clock, win up front, both sides of the ball, that's what's going to put your team in the best possible situation to win. So. We're going to establish run game. We're going to keep it simple with a couple schemes. We're going to window dress with formations and motions, and we're going to be able to pass the ball out of all those too. So, my biggest thing is to be balanced and have equal yardage in both run game, pass game, if in a perfect world. But again, we're going to play the hand we're dealt, and we're going to put our kids in the best situation.
Warren Smith with me on Cal One-on-One, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service on Cape Atlantic Live. Warren, I'll leave you with a couple more here before I let you go. And again, appreciate your time. Coming to I know you're familiar with the area. Obviously, you've been around here, obviously on the golf course, of course, and then, you're looking at a lot of familiar teams. I know Lacy doesn't really cross over too much with with Cape May County or Atlantic County, but you have a bit of a familiarity with the area, with the high schools around here. Do you plan on contacting other coaches from the high schools that are within the same divisions and the conference? Again, we'll sum it up to the old school Cape Atlantic League teams, just so they're in the area. Have you already reached out to some coaches? Do you plan on doing something like that? Just kind of establishing relationships with these coaches, despite the fact you're going to be competing against them, but you're eventually going to trade film with them too.
Of course, I think it's important to develop those relationships. I've already had multiple conversations with Robbie Davis at Egg Harbor High School. You're going to play these guys, so you got to form these relationships. You're going to trade film eventually down the road, and I don't know much about the league itself yet and the coaches, but as time goes, you meet these people and you meet these coaches and you develop these relationships, and I think it's important to get to know them all. Just like I know all the Shore Conference coaches now. I think that's a big part of developing as a head football coach down there, just to meet those coaches. So that's part of my plan. I've had some help from Coach Lancetta down at Hamilton, who just got hired. I know the Cedar Creek coach does a really good job. What he's doing right now, Coach Melody, and even Oakcrest, the Coach Forrest does a great job. They all, so getting to know those guys and the surrounding area will definitely help me. But there's been a few coaches that have reached out and gave me some insight on what to expect. So again, building off that and hopefully form more relationships as time goes, and that will make my life a little bit easier.
So I'll leave you here with this one. I'm not going to obviously ask you for a prediction 7 months out from the start, 6 months out from the start of the season. And then, we say 6 months now, then next time we talk, it could be all of a sudden, hey, you have a game tomorrow. So when you look at what you want to establish culture-wise and I guess skill-wise on the field for this first season, whether it ends up being a lot of success or it's a building year with adversity, you guys battle through it, however the case may be. Do you guys have a slogan this year, a phrase, a saying where this is how you identify with Absegami football going into 2025?
Yeah, I kind of go by the motto that I always went with in college football. And our team is going to go in one direction. And if we all go in one direction, you have a group of people going in one direction, it's hard to stop. And I tell these kids every day, it's one direction, we're going up. And, you might not agree with it right now, but if we're all together, guess what? It's going to be hard to stop, and we're going to be okay. So I tell these guys, continue to work hard. The effort has been great so far. Once they start believing and trusting me and believing in one another and believing in themselves, and we're all going in one direction, I think we're going to have a pretty good shot. So again, wins and losses, I couldn't tell you anything right now. But again, we're gonna. My goal is to maximize our ability, and be in every football game and have a chance to win.
You love to hear it. Warren Smith, the new Absegami football head coach going into the 2025 season right here on Cal 101. Warren, good to catch up, my man. Good luck this season. Looking forward to keeping in touch with you throughout the summer, and obviously as we build up towards, already thinking about next football season. It just ended, it feels like yesterday, and all of a sudden we're talking about 2025. So again, appreciate your time tonight.
Absolutely, Nick. Thanks for having me. Great seeing you, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Cal 101 on Cape Atlantic Live is presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service.